Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM20 story, A Wandering Dork with me, Daniel. It's Season 1, Episode 5, and today we're back for the first game in the calendar year of 2020 as we head to playoff chasers St Albans, hoping to cause a shock in the new year. We'll also be saying goodbye to one of our players that's leaving the club after this game and taking a look at a new signing who could potentially be replacing him at just 16 years of age. We're still trying to wheel and deal, but the scout reports are coming through too slowly, so we've opted to taking people on trial now, and we'll take a look at that process more at the end of the season, but for now we just want to try and get back in the playoff contention. But firstly, before we do any of that, a massive thank you to everyone that supported the series so far. I really do appreciate you giving it a try. If you are enjoying the series, then please do put a thumbs up on the video, and if you're new to the channel, then subscribe for daily FM20 content, with 5 episodes a week from this series and 2 a week from our Luton Town beta save. St Albans up in 4th place who we're playing today, but they're on the back of a 7-2 defeat to Slough in the last one. Just 3 days passed since then, and we'll be hoping to take advantage of their poor morale. You can see there are some other concerns going into this game though, one of them with Konchesky out doubtful with a bruised head, and secondly the finances are looking absolutely disastrous. We're within our wage budget, I don't know what more we can do. Unfortunately it doesn't seem to be making much difference. But if we go and have a look at the transfer screen first, we've got one more in to talk about, and that's Matt Ellis, who joined the club just yesterday, a 16-year-old central defender, 2.5 star ability, 5-star potential, not quite there physically yet as he's just a young lad, but can also cover at right back too, and looks very decent mentally and technically. So with Brady leaving, as we mentioned in the last episode, this guy could become key for us moving forward. We've put him straight into that mentoring group with Konchesky and Gallagher leading, so I'm hoping we'll be able to build his personality too, but I'm not too worried about his development. I think he's going to make it as a superstar. And then moving on to our dynamics, everything's looking pretty good now. It's about the first time this season we've managed that. The team cohesion's developing as we've had a relatively settled side, and the dressing room atmosphere and managerial support are good. The lads seem to be getting very used to us. And if we go and have a look at the schedule, to of course see what's been happening since the last episode, we've played Billericay about 1,000,000 times, and everyone else just the once. So you're with me for that double header as we lost to Salford in the FA Cup, and Billericay, the rich kids of the league. We then played them in the FA Trophy and had a 2-2 draw, a really decent game actually, and we nicked a 93rd minute equaliser. Then in the replay we were really hard done by. It looked like we were going through 1-0, and then Moses Emmanuel in the 93rd minute. I've just got to go and show you this goal, just so you can see how realistic it is. Let's see if you think he could do this. So it's a 93rd minute, one of the last kicks of the game. There were only about 10 seconds left I think, and he charged forward on the right hand side, and let's just go and see what happened next. So here it is then, it's coming over to Emmanuel, first time volley from 30 yards on the right, and with 2 seconds left in the cup tie, he put them back on level terms, and they then romped away with it in extra time. So a really unfortunate moment that. We'd been brilliant all game, but got undone by a moment of fantastic quality, and that meant we'd then gone 8 games without a victory, though we managed to put that right against Hemel Hempstead. A brilliant 3-0 victory, both strikers and a lone midfielder Tom Whelan on the score sheet, and we followed it up with a 2-1 win at Dulwich Hamlet, again the front 2 getting the goals. Then at home to Welling we completed the double, the side we beat on the first day of the season. They were up in second when we played them, so they've done brilliantly all year, but we've just had their number for some reason. Jake Gallagher scoring an absolute screamer after Jason Pryor gave us a first half lead. Then unfortunately away to Weymouth we did lose 2-1, a Paul Konchesky own goal sealing it, and again they're a side up in the top 7, so we wouldn't have expected to get a result. Then at home to Maidstone just 2 days later, we had to rotate quite heavily. Again they're a side right up near the top, but Jason Pryor with a brace and Tom Whelan scored a goal too, and it ensured we got ourselves a point to make sure we didn't experience successive defeats. So we're in pretty decent form, despite going 2 without a win now, but again it's a really tough away game today. If we go and have a look at the table, and more importantly the last set of results, it was Slough 7, St Albans 2, and that's the bit that gives me hope for today. We're only 4 points off the playoffs after half a season, and that's more than we could have expected at this stage. We're almost certainly going to wrap up a mid-table finish, which of course is the pre-season expectation, and also we've got to celebrate Jason Pryor, who's top of the goal-scoring charts with 20 already. In 24 appearances, that's absolutely remarkable, and he's even managed a couple of assists too. So we're going to go and play this game against St Albans, and then we'll have a look at the schedule to plan the rest of the season. I really do appreciate those of you that have been active in the comments, letting us know what you want to see, and also just your contributions to the series. I'll talk about which games we're going to show and why, and hopefully some of the key events coming up. But there's one more thing I want to look at before we get into it, and that's some of the new reviews and features in the game. So one of them that's come up this month, and one that really interested me actually, was we had a mentoring review for the month, and it picked up where players have been working in groups, what sort of things have changed in their personalities. So saying Fergal Hale Brown have picked up both positive and negative influences, and Kellak Papire, the striker, is now going to wind up opponents. And it also tells you what that means on the pitch, and gives you a bit of a description of what that means in normal terms. So of course that means in the game that he's going to try and improve the morale of the team by getting under the skin of an opponent and hopefully taking some of their focus away. So really nice feature that, and I really enjoyed it, but it's not as important as the other one, and that is the pre-youth intake preview, which of course gives us a little indication of what we're going to see. And unfortunately the main feature line for us was don't expect much from this year's youth intake, and of course that's something that we'd expect at this level, but you always hope you're going to get that one special one, though it does say we've got one wide midfielder who is going to be a great prospect, so I'm hoping that he's going to be a good player. It looks like he matches the one below, that English left midfielder from Dorking, so I think he's going to be the real star of the intake, but otherwise it looks like a pretty poor crop of youngsters. But of course we've signed a few 16-year-olds anyway, so they're going to end up being trained at the club. So some really nice features there in the new Football Manager. I really do enjoy the emphasis put on the youth intake, and particularly in terms of development as well, an area I love in the One Club series. So let's get into this game against St Albans. Of course let me know your thoughts in the comments and all of that, and we are going to be celebrating George Brady's last game today before he goes off to France in a pre-agreed transfer. He is our best centre half, so he will very much be missed, and we haven't yet managed to get a good replacement, just Matt Ellis who isn't quite ready yet. So it could be Ed Harris that comes into the team for him, and it looks like that's our best option at the moment. And again we've slightly tweaked our midfield duties and roles, a ball winning midfielder and central midfielder now. It seems to have been working in recent weeks, although traditionally we always had to have a defensive-minded player, as not tended to be the case in this year's game. We've actually done better with two going forward. Briggs is in poor form, so McShane's in for him on the right wing. We've got Konchesky out with a knock, of course, and there's a couple of others that have been struggling for fitness, but I think they're all just about back for today. So we've got Fergal Hale Brown in goal, Ramsey and Richards the fullbacks, Brady and Parker at centre-half for the very last time at the club, and then Whelan and Gallagher in central midfield, McShane and young Kavanagh on the left, and Buchanan and Pryor in a two up front, and hopefully they'll continue their good form. If we look at Kavanagh very quickly, his determination is very slightly improving, and that's just what we want to see from him. He's now up to 2.5 star ability, and he is starting to develop his game a bit. So I'm hoping these youngsters will improve off the pitch, as it'll be a brilliant investment for the club, and potentially they could become National League and maybe even League 2 players for us, and serve the club for 5 or 10 years. We've got another one of those 16-year-olds in Bailey on the bench, so he might get a chance to play today, and we want to try and get Ed Harris on if possible, as he's going to be first choice again from the weekend. So let's get into this game against St Albans. Of course one of the most local to my hometown of Luton. Plenty of complaints about their ticket prices in real life, so let's hope a few fans turn up today. It doesn't look much from the stadium there. It's a standard 4-4-2 for St Albans, and we're going to encourage the lads and tell them to get out there and impress us, and hopefully they'll put on another strong performance. It's Howe on the right hand side for St Albans. Throw in, and now it's into Noble, the creative experienced playmaker there. Through ball in behind, it's hit the post and Whelan gets it away. McShane hoofs it long downfield. Well, that might be the least highlights I've ever seen in an FM game before. What a first half that was. One shot on target which we didn't see on camera, so it's goalless at the break. It's been a pretty decent performance. We're on the road to a side above us in the league, and a side that are really established at this level, so if we can get a point, it's not a disaster, but of course we're so vulnerable at the back. St Albans with a free kick near the halfway line, they take it all the way back to the goalkeeper in the end. It's going to be cleared long downfield, and we've just got to make sure we deal with the long ball. It's Parker who gets up and wins the header, but it only falls to them in the centre circle. Out to Foxley, who's lost out to McShane. Pryor bringing it forward and holds it up. Really good target man play there. The experienced man doing very well for us. We've got a bit of bad news with him, which we've got to share too, but Whelan's got it 30 yards out for now. He finds McShane, who's trying to find a cross, but in the end goes back to Whelan. Good effort just over the bar, and it's still 0-0 with 5 gone in the second half. Just 10 minutes to go and there's absolutely nothing happening. We never have games like this. There's always 3 or 4 highlights, particularly in the second half, but nothing to speak about in this one, so we're just going to make a couple of freshening up changes. McShane's got a booking on the right, so Briggs will come on for him. Probably a like-for-like replacement in terms of quality, something we haven't got in many other areas. And then Tom Whelan's going to come off in midfield. We'll get the 16-year-old Bailey on. We'd like to give him a few minutes of football, and we'll just drop him down to an automatic duty. Should give us a little bit more stability at the back, and hopefully that'll keep the score at 0-0. We're just going to give it 5 more minutes, and then we'll make the last change if we need to. Well, just 3 minutes left, and there's nothing really happening again. Kevin Kavanagh's knackered on the left wing, so I'm going to put Buchanan out there. I think it's the only real option I've got, and then Kevin Kavanagh will be replaced by Akpapire. He'll come on up front for the last few. Hopefully we'll be able to stay at 0-0. It'll be a really decent result away to a top side. Well, the full-time whistle goes and the description was a bore draw. We cannot argue with that at all. A 0-0 result is a very good one for us, but again the concern is George Brady was man of the match as we get a clean sheet. He's going to be leaving the club tomorrow, and unfortunately we've got another tough away game coming up, and draws don't really help us chase the playoffs. But as it was such a quiet game and there were no real highlights at all, I'm going to skip through to Saturday and we'll show you that one as a double header again. So we'll be back in a moment to face Oxford City after they experienced a home defeat against Welling. Well, we're back for our bonus game against Oxford City, just 3 days later in the National League South, and we've got a couple of transfers to talk about as well. There was one loanee potentially coming from Sutton, but that was instead of the 16-year-old. We're taking the cheaper wage options at the moment, as we're trying to help the club out financially. So confirmation that George Brady's gone off to France, earning £2 a week there, so we've got to be fair to him. He completely understands his reasoning, but we've also managed to sign one player on loan, and it's not because of his quality, not really even because of his position. It's mainly just because we don't have to contribute any wages. So we've got this guy for free for the year, Luke Warson, who's a target man up front, and we finally got a bit of a deputy to Pryor, which means we can rotate up front a little. So I'm really pleased with him. He can play in all the positions and roles we need. He's made 2 first-team appearances for Chesterfield. He's got 2.5-star ability. He's just a decent backup player all round, and it's a relatively good free signing for us. We've also got a couple of lads in on trial at the moment, and it's something we're going to talk about a lot more at the end of the season. As I mentioned at the start of the series when we were going through our initial plans, we're going to have slightly less in-depth episodes throughout the season where we focus on our previous matches and commentary, and then at the end of the year we're going to do a full in-depth review where we pick out a couple of areas behind the scenes and look at some of the interesting bits in more detail. Those are for the real FM fans and those of you that want to know the club inside out. So we'll talk about our best youngsters and we'll go into their detail, how we're training them, how we're looking after them and trying to develop them. And for example, we'll talk about our transfer system in detail, go through how we bring players on trial, how we filter them, how we make the decisions, and the way our scouting team supports that, including our director of football, of course. So let me know if there's any things you'd like to see in that review at the end of this year, as of course it's probably just about a week away now. But once you see the first one, of course you can let me know what you'd like to see in future years, as it's something that's a bit of a work in progress. But I am really looking forward to doing that, as it gives me a chance to talk about the things I love behind the scenes, so hopefully you'll enjoy it too, as it will give far more of an understanding as how we approach our career. But let's go and get into the team selection and see if we need to make any changes. We've still got Paul Konchesky out with a knock. The new young striker can come on the bench. He's going to replace Akpapire there. He just needs to develop off the pitch a little, him, as he can't really play as a target man. Rawson can play in both positions. Of course we don't have to pay him if he comes on as well, so it is a win-win situation for us, and that's why he's going to be our sub-striker. We've of course got to bring Ed Harris in at centre half. He's replaced the outgoing Brady, and now another 16-year-old in Ellis will be on the bench, the new signing who joined just 4 days ago. A little bit short on match fitness, so hopefully we won't get any injuries, as I'm not convinced he'll be a strong replacement, and we may struggle a bit if he has to play a lot. The only other concern is the left wing. Kevin Cavan of the youngsters a bit tired, but of course we're still playing Richards, our usual winger at left back, as Konchesky's out with his injury. So I think we're going to have to play Briggs for today, and one of them will have to be an inside forward. And then on the bench we could put someone else in, maybe the transfer listed Luke Moore. He seems like the most talented option. So that's the squad we're going to go for today. No need to change too much else. We performed really well in the last game and fought very hard, and the lads deserve a pat on the back and a chance to get another result. So another tough away game in store, but just the two changes to the first 11. Briggs coming in on the left wing and Harris in for the transferred Brady at centre back. Let's go and get into the game at Oxford City and hope we can put in another strong away performance. 4-3-3 for Oxford City, but two holding midfielders in that side. They've got Craig King, the former Luton youngster, in goal, but other than that a pretty average team. A side that are doing well, they're up in 6th place of course, and we'll be hoping we can be as solid against them as we were against St Albans in the first game. So we're just going to change Matthew Briggs to an inverted winger, again just on a support duty for now, and we'll go and get into the first half of this match, hoping we won't be too much weaker in defence. Well, 25 minutes without a highlight, and the first one is a Briggs free kick. It's a really good save by King, and it's cleared away, but it's the first shot on target of the match, and it was our midfielder who had it from a set piece. Not the best game again, but another 0-0 would be decent. I know it's not the entertainment we want to see, but it does show a great improvement in defensive areas. Losing our best centre half and doing this really does show how strong we are. Well, it's half time and we've managed to beat our record from the previous game. Just one highlight in the whole half, and it was a Briggs free kick which you saw was saved. Not a great spectacle again, but we're doing a really solid, decent job away from home against big sides, and maybe this can keep us in playoff contention if we can add 1 or 2 bits of quality on loan. We've still got space for 2 more loanees, so I'm hoping we'll be able to find them soon. We just want that extra bit of quality, although we could get a senior affiliate. That's the bit that's been missing so far. Hale Brown has just made a remarkable save from a set piece. The first header hit the post and bounced down for a certain goal, but he got a brilliant touch on it to get it behind, and the corner's been cleared away too. If we could get a senior affiliate, I think it would jump us up the leagues very quickly, but of course that's often easier said than done, and I guess it makes it more realistic we haven't got it. Here's McShane on the right into Whelan. Good shot and finish from him. Oh, the flag's up. I didn't notice it at first. Still 0-0 as a result, but great to see midfielders getting into the box. Just 20 minutes left, so we're going to make some changes, just trying to shore things up a little here. Again, like the St Albans game, 0-0's a really decent performance and result, and it keeps us in that playoff contention, which is something we didn't expect in this first year. So Jake Gallagher's on a yellow, and he's a very aggressive player, so I'm going to bring Dan Gallagher on for him. Normally we go for the youngster Bailey, but I'm just trying to support this new defence at the moment. We will drop him back to the holding role and try and see out the rest of the game. James McShane's unfit, and he's struggling in terms of performance too, so we're going to bring on a right winger for him. Briggs will go over to the right, and in fact we're going to bring on the new signing Rawson. I'm not sure what he can do out wide. He looks like a better winger than the others actually, so maybe we will play him on the left. Buchanan can stay out there for now, and then we'll have Rawson as an advanced forward up top, just to try and give us a bit of height in the box. I can see Whelan struggling too, so Bailey may well come on for him, but we'll get it 5 more minutes first, and then we'll go and make that tactical tweak. It's Richards with a long throw from the left for us. Rawson losing out in the air. We'd have kind of hoped he would have won that. He's a big tall lad and he's good at jumping, but unfortunately they've got through on the counter. Oxford City in behind, and Hale Brown makes another good save. It's tipped over the bar for a corner. Not quite sure that was a coherent sentence, but either way we're now defending a set piece. Jones to the back post, good header away. Parker with the clearance in the end, and it falls for a row on the right hand side, but the highlight ends with it still 0-0. Just what we wanted with 10 minutes left, though at least this game has come to life. We'll just be hoping we don't concede in the end as we try and shore things up a bit more now. So Gallagher's going to drop to defensive midfield, he'll go to his normal support duty, and the tired Whelan will be replaced by Bailey. He'll drop to a central midfielder on support. It's an automatic duty, but because we've got a balanced mentality, it'll naturally be the more supporting role, and hopefully we'll see out the last 8 plus stoppage time for another decent 0-0 on the road. 2 0-0 draws, and I could be a very happy man, and you wouldn't have expected that at the start. Rawson with a chance early on there though. He's not been on the pitch too long at all, but it came on his left foot and he couldn't quite control it. In the end it went just high and wide. It's King in goal for Oxford City, a chance for them to get a last big chance going forward, and it's long over the top. It beats everyone bar Parker. Done a brilliant job at the back for us there. Briggs has won a free kick and he's Jefford's second yellow. We're playing 10 men for the last couple, and I think that bodes well for us now. Surely we won't concede from this point. I know we did it against Billericay in a previous episode, but we've managed to cling on in this one. 2 draws away from home against playoff contenders, and although we haven't scored any goals, we've looked really solid at the back. As a manager, that pleases me very much, although I apologise it wasn't the greatest entertainment. We're in 10th place with 26 played, just 5 points off the playoffs and still in contention, not letting Oxford City get further away. So I'm really pleased with how this episode's gone, and obviously we got a bonus game in as well. Not many chances in either of them, as we defended doggedly to get results. So depending on which way you look at it, we're either 4 without a win or 3 unbeaten now, and given the sides we've been playing in those games, I'd very much call it 3 unbeaten. So my plan is, unless we get into the playoffs, we're going to have 2 more regular episodes from this season, and I'm sort of torn about what the next one's going to be. And looking at March 2020, I wanted to play against Slough on camera, of course the side that were brilliant for us in the head coach last year. We had a couple of years there and it really got our career back on track, and I feel like I owe showing the game against them. They've also been a very entertaining side this season, plenty of goals conceded and scored, so it would probably be a more entertaining one to show, but I also want to show the Havant and Waterlooville match. I know 1 or 2 of you have mentioned that already. We've got a former hero from FM18 playing there, Jonah Ayunga, who's one of their star strikers. He's a player I'd very much like to talk about, and of course we're going to have our youth intake and the close of the transfer window around then, so it's likely to be a very busy month for the club. Of course the main thing in deciding those 2 games is that Slough are currently in 6th place, Havant and Waterlooville in 11th, so whichever one's the most important for our season is the one out of those 2 we're going to show. And in the final game and episode of the season, the regular league season that is away against Hemel Hempstead, the club we started our head coach series with last year. Of course a few of you have mentioned about showing a game against them, particularly because of how it went last year, so rest assured that one will be live at the end of the season, and hopefully we'll have a playoff campaign to worry about afterwards. But if you did enjoy this episode and 2 really strong defensive performances on the road, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you think of the transfer situation, the players that we've been bringing in and out. I'm really taking that approach to bringing young players in. Of course on youth contracts we only have to pay £5 a week, and we've got that return value later on. Losing Brady's a massive loss though. I think it is going to be a big problem for us moving forward, though Ed Harris did brilliantly in that second game, so it does fill me with a little bit of optimism. Let me know if there's anything I can do about the finances. I think it's spiralling out of control now, but of course those 2 massive earners in the youth team will be going at the end of the season, and that's going to make such a difference to the club. We'll try not to reinvest all of that in wages, and hopefully we'll be able to reduce some of the debt. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM20 content, including 5 episodes a week from this Dorking Wanderers story, and in the other 2 days will be our Luton beta save, which we're 2 episodes into so far. So if you're not up to date with that one, do click on the eye above to catch up with it. I really do appreciate you giving it a try. And then we've got 2 episodes a week from Cricket 19 as well. They're on Tuesday and Saturday at midday. But a massive thanks for watching this one and your continued support of the series as always. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you next time for another important episode, as we'll have more transfer action and a youth intake to look at too.